Like and subscribe right now or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week. Let's admit it, it's fun to watch massive, super heavy things crash and burn. There's just something so fascinating about massive and spectacular things being taken down a peg. What's not fun though is if people get hurt or something else gets damaged in the process. Well, with a proper sense of sobriety and humor, we're going to talk about the launches of 10 ships that went wrong in some weird or worrisome manner. 10 ship launches that went horribly wrong. Number 10. Cement carrier Norden wild waves. In September 2019, the Dutch cement carrier Norden was set to launch at the Bodewes Shipyard in Hoogezand, the Netherlands. She was to be handed over to her new owners, Eureka Shipping. All looked to be going well. The ship was loosed, sliding down the slipway to the water. However, the ship was prematurely dunked into the water, causing the vessel to sway wildly. The massive carrier caused a large burst of waves, with water running over the road and fields that ran parallel to the shipyard. Onlookers definitely got their feet wet. But fortunately, there were no fatalities and no one was hurt. Number 9. Symphony provider stuck on slipway. Here's another ship that dealt with a slipway issue. Instead of sliding down prematurely though, the Symphony provider, a cargo ship from the Netherlands, got stuck on the slipway in Hoogezand in Leer, Germany. With onlookers watching, the dock crew loosened her on the slipway, but her bow got stuck, despite her stern having moved some way down the slipway already. High friction caused the entire vessel to stop sloped on her descent. For a few minutes, dock employees checked what was going on. Then, one of the yard employees unhooked a hose from the hydraulic cylinder to release the hydraulics manually, thus allowing the ship to slide down into the water. No one was hurt, including the ship. Number 8. NOAA vessel Reuben Lasker launches wood debris. In 2013, in Marinette, Wisconsin, NOAA launched the Reuben Lasker, the 5th ship of its kind, a state-of-the-art fishery vessel that would greatly aid in taking data measurements of fish stocks and other related things. NOAA said the Reuben Lasker will support fish, marine mammals, and turtle surveys off the U.S. West Coast and in the eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. However, during the launch, the ship had to be loaded on wood planks instead of metal ones on the slipway. From the front angle, as she hits the water, the launch looks innocuous. However, from the back view, as soon as she falls into the water, a wave of water mixed with deadly split wood debris flies out backwards. Several people suffered bruises and bumps from the wood, and one person suffered a broken leg. Yikes! Number 7. Heavy icebreaker Healy heavily injures people at launch. On November 15, 1997, the U.S. Coast Guard celebrated the christening and launch of its 19th and latest icebreaker in New Orleans, the Healy, named after 19th century Coast Guard Captain Michael A. Healy. The 420-foot or 128 meters ship, the largest for the Coast Guard at the time, was released sideways down the skids on the slipway with much celebration. But, upon hitting the water, she threw up a massive backsplash which tossed sand, gravel, and driftwood from the river at least 50 feet, or 15 meters from the ship, right up to spectator seats, which were 15 feet or 4.5 meters up off the ground. At least 30 dignitaries were drenched, but they made it out much better than the 20 or so people injured by the flying wood. Around 15 people retreated on the spot, but 5 had to be taken to a hospital, much worse than the mess the Reuben Lasker caused. Number 6. The Scott Explorer scratches up her side. When a ship is launched, there's multiple things set in place to ensure she slides down correctly, hits the water well, and doesn't slide too far away from the momentum and get damaged. Well, in 2019, once more at the Royal Bodewes Shipyard in Hoogezand, the Netherlands, the Scott Explorer's launch went well in all aspects except for one. As she contacted the water, the rope attached to her stern to hold her in place snapped. The Scott Explorer proceeded to collide with the quay wall, damaging the wall and scraping up her paint job pretty badly. Speculation states this happened either because the rope was old and worn, or the force needed to support the ship had been calculated improperly. Either way, with no other damage and no human casualties, we have nothing to complain about. Number 5. $10 million yacht Baden sinks as a maiden. This is another unnecessary and waste of a boat. In May 2014, the 90-foot or 27.5 meters yacht Baden was christened and then set for launch in the Cap Santa Marina in Anacortes, Washington state. However, after she was successfully lowered backwards into the water, she listed to port, capsized, and sank. During the subsequent investigation, the New World Yacht Builders, which built the yacht under the Northern Marine brand, stated the problem seemed to be with the marina's launch apparatus and not with the boat. Alleged physical evidence pointed to the launch ramp being insufficient to have supported the boat as she was lowered into the water, prematurely releasing her off the edge of the boat ramp. The leaning position of the Baden as she was lowered caused her to suddenly list to port. Unable to recover, she fell sideways, hitting the side of the marina. The 6 people on board safely escaped. Number 4. Brand new cruise ship crashes into bridge. Is this a third unnecessary accident happening to a ship in this list? Yes, it is. Just a week after the launch of the 7 stories high cruise ship the Pearl No. 7, she was traveling along the Hoogezand River, or rather, was being taken along the river by tugboats. Unaware that she was too tall, the ship hit the bottom of a bridge in Wenzhou City, part of China's Zhejiang province. During the unfolding investigation, it was speculated that at least part of the problem may have been either that the ship was too tall, that the river's water levels had swelled from recent precipitation, or a mixture of both. The Pearl No. 7 is 158 meters or 518 feet long, 30 meters or 98 feet wide, can lodge up to 1,000 passengers, and weighs 8,600 tons. Maybe cruise vessels should be designed to still be able to travel under bridges, even if the water is higher from rainfall. Number 3. Employee nearly smashed at launch. Here's yet another almost incident at the Royal Bodewes Shipyard in Hoogezand, the Netherlands. It seems this shipyard gets a lot of excitement. On February 15, 2019, the MV Tasman, the second multi-purpose Bodewes trader owned by Tasman Rederij, was set to launch. After she was christened, naturally she was launched. But as she slid down towards the water, an employee who was still removing ropes that were obstructing the ship's journey was nearly squashed by her. As he ran to escape, he tripped, which fortunately caused the ship to barely miss him. To watch his narrow escape on film causes us to catch our breath. Imagine how that man still feels to this day. Number 2. SS Principessa Yolanda launches and sinks. In this rather embarrassing and very expensive mistake, the SS Principessa Yolanda, the largest Italian passenger ship at the time, was launched down the slipway, and when she hit the water, basically capsized and sunk right there. Besides onlookers, journalists and government officials were at the launch of the grand event. The ship was named after King Emmanuel III's eldest daughter, Princess Yolanda Margherita di Savoia. On September 12, 1907, the 141 meters or 463 foot long, 9,210 tons ship was let free to slide down the slipway and into the water. When she impacted the water, she immediately became unstable, listing sharply to port. Tugboats and yard workers tried to stabilize her, but in vain. She continued to slip further to port until only 20 minutes later, water started leaking in through windows and other openings. Of course, that furthered her lean and she soon capsized. Though brand new, she was deemed unsalvageable. Only her engines were recovered to be used in another vessel. The captain and those aboard at the time safely escaped her as she sunk, so there were no fatalities. There are 2 theories relating to why she capsized and sunk. The first is that, when she was launched with all her fittings and furnishings, hitting the water with all those things inside caused the center of gravity to be too high. The second theory is that she slid down into the water too fast, causing a change in the transverse rotational axis that caused the bow to press against the chute itself, cracking the keel somewhere. Regardless, lessons were learned and the shipyard was, in the end, blamed for the disaster. Number 1. The slippery yacht journey to the water. This last entry isn't of a water launch disaster, but of one of 3 yachts being carried on heavy haulage trucks to their loading site onto the awaiting barge called the pontoon. Out of the 3, the yacht Boot 19 almost didn't make it to the barge. The heavy haulage truck pulling her slipped on the wet pavement and struggled to regain traction. It slowly maneuvered, tires sliding as it turned, then it stopped to regain control and orient itself on the road. The truck had to slowly back up, turning as it did so to try to regain traction. After quite a bit of sliding, backing up, moving forward, and re-angling, the driver finally succeeded in restoring enough traction to back up and turn the entire load on the parallel road to thus back slowly down to the waters to load the yacht onto the pontoon. Things could have gone really badly. The driver and accompanying staff must have held their breath for a hot minute there. Well, that last entry really impressed onto us that procedures are set in place and followed with the utmost precision for good reason. Even if one little thing is overlooked, disaster could happen. These ship launches are all solid examples of that. So, from all the examples we've covered, did we miss any? Let us know in the comments. And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notices of future video posts. Until next time!